Hey, it's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan here for an Inside the Birds Minute. All right, here's the deal, Adam. Malcolm Jenkins has come out and said he is not going to play next year under his current contract. He has 1 year left on his deal. He's basically laying down the gauntlet. He already, missed OTAs last year as a show of displeasure with the contract, and so the Eagles are kind of in a conundrum here if he's not going to play because they don't really have a whole lot of young developmental safeties, and we'll get into that. So first, I'll ask you, what kind of resolution do you see from Malcolm and the Eagles here?
All right, so Geoff, he's got, as you said, he's got 1 year left. They owe him 7.6 million. There's no guaranteed money left, and he's got 250,000 in per game roster bonuses. So they owe him 7.8. Well, they don't owe him, but if he's on the roster next year and they did nothing, his base salary would be fully guaranteed in week one of 7.6 million, and he get an extra two. He really would get 15,625 per game that he's active, and that's it. There's 3 million in dead money from bonus proration. And by the way, he did the club a solid in 2018. He restructured his contract. So he's the perfect Eagle. He does everything he's asked. Great in the community. Number one leader, arguably, on the team. Clearly, you could talk other guys on offense and defense, but I think it could be argued he's the number one leader on the team. Class guy, durable. He's what you want. But Geoff, we've talked about this throughout the last year. Haven't done it lately because we've been concentrating on what's ahead of us, like per game. But they don't have anyone behind he or Roddy McLeod, who's a free agent. So what's the solution? You're going to give him no better in a 2-year structure. You can load it up in year one, signing bonus, fully guarantee his base salary. If he and Ben Dogra could agree with Howie on this, you don't give a lot of fully guaranteed money in year two, or make him, if he's on the roster, he gets the money. You could just basically make it all in year one, because he's going to be back. He's healthy. He finished the season healthy, so that's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, Adam. I do believe that he will be an Eagle, and I think it can be done. You can say the Eagles played a little bit of hardball this year by not doing anything after he held out briefly. But here's what I see happening. He has some leverage because they literally have nobody to play the position as we speak right now. I think they want him on the team. I think you can even give him a longer deal, maybe 3 years, 4, but as you mentioned, have all the money, the guaranteed money front loaded in year 1 or 2, just in case he completely tanks and you want to cut and release
Or he
him.
gets hurt. Right,
Or he gets hurt. But he's such a good player and a versatile player. And I think sometimes NFL teams lack creativity. When a guy gets to a certain age, they just say, all right, we're going to discard you. And you've seen guys who get older, like Eric Weddle, for example, go to other teams and still play at a high enough level in a specified role. So what I would do is this. I would give Malcolm a multi-year extension. I would make sure I draft and bring in a young developmental safety. I think Malcolm can be a starter for 1 more year, but even in the 1 year, I would start to kind of wean down his snaps and get my young developmental safety in there, maybe as a nickel, maybe as a deep post kind of safety, give Malcolm a little bit of break. And then eventually you hope that the safeties that you bring in that are young by year 2 develop so that Malcolm then becomes what Corey Graham once was, which was a very valuable third big nickel, big dime safety who played like 55 to 65% of the snaps by year 2 or year 3 of the deal. So I'm basically saying wean Malcolm from starter to reserve, but you keep him here, you have his leadership, and you allow him to groom or help groom the young safeties that you bring in.
Hang on, but you cannot redo his deal, and he has to be the starter. There's no discussion. He's starting, or you don't give him the new deal. Right.
Yeah.
But you're saying wean down at snaps. Okay, he plays just about every snap. So the question then would be, let's say they're drafting a safety in the second round. That's going to be Malcolm's eventual replacement. Geoff's right. The guy's got to play. At some point, maybe you give him 10 snaps a game, or you give him 5 snaps a game just to get him wet in the first year in terms of he gets on the field, he gets a feeling for what it's like to be a professional, but Malcolm's the guy. In a year 2, depending on contract structure, like if they fully guarantee partial this year, partial next year, small signing bonus, that means he's definitely gone after 2021, and he may start give up more snaps to the kid. So Geoff's right. I think it's a fair way to do it, but he's a starter. That much we know, but you want to treat him with respect. I'm not blaming Banner on it. I know people brought up Brian Dawkins. Ironically, Geoff is. Joe's very close to Brian. I know people have that hard time believing that, but over the years they made sure everything was cool. I would say, listen, when Brian. By the way, Dawkins lost way more than Jenkins did at that point of their careers. I can't remember what their ages were, but the time when the Eagles decided ultimately not to bring Dawkins back, they wanted him to retire. I know he went to Denver and played well. Actually, probably played better for Denver than he did for the Eagles, Geoff, in his final year. But Doc. I remember talking to the Eagles at the time. They, based on their studying of the tape, they just thought he was done. Now you could say he wasn't because he went to Denver, but you can only go with what you see.
Right.
So this one's interesting, and I think Malcolm he's not elite, but he's still playing at a solid level.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues, Adam, with the Eagles with Dawkins leaving was also that they did a terrible job of trying to replace him. They drafted a lot of guys, they didn't work out, but unfortunately, history is repeating itself right now because the Eagles have not drafted a safety higher than the 5th round since Jaquan Jarrett in 2011. And the names of the guys they did draft, you've got Jordan Poyer, who's actually turned out to be a good player but never made the team. Blake Countess, who didn't make the team. Ed Reynolds from Stanford, who did not play very well. So what the Eagles really need to do first and foremost, along with bringing back Malcolm, is drafting that young developmental safety who is going to be a starter and going to be an impact player on their defense by the end of year 1, maybe year 2.
Geoff, they need to draft 2 safeties, not one this year.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, because McLeod's up. His contract's up.
No doubt about it. All right, that's where we stand. That's an Inside the Birds Minute with Adam Caplan and Geoff Mosher. Make sure you're listening to the Inside the Birds podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel.